Emma had always hated attics. They were dust-choked tombs of forgotten things where time hung heavy like cobwebs. But after Grand's funeral, someone had to sort through the clutter in the old Victorian house on Elm Street. At 28, with a dead-end job in graphic design and a boyfriend who texted more than he talked, Emma drew the short straw. Her parents were off in Florida chasing sunsets, and her brother was too busy with his startup that sold artisanal socks. The attic smelled of mothballs and regret. Boxes teetered like ancient monoliths, labeled in grand spidery handwriting. Christmas ornaments, 1972, or Jack's baby clothes. Jack, Emma's grandfather, had died a decade ago, leaving Gran to rattle around alone until the end. Emma pried open a warped wooden chest, coughing as yellowed linens billowed out like ghosts. Beneath them lay a shoebox, unmarked, its lid taped with yellowing scotch. Inside were photographs. Gran as a girl, all bobbed hair and defiant eyes, posing with a group of factory workers during the war. Then, tucked in the corner, a letter. Not just any letter, an envelope, brittle as autumn leaves, addressed in faded blue ink to "My dearest Eleanor," from Thomas R. Hale, U.S. Army, somewhere in the Pacific. The postmark read 1943. Gran's name was Eleanor, but she'd never mentioned a Thomas Hale. Emma's fingers trembled as she slid the seal. The paper crackled, releasing a faint scent of salt and ink. She sank onto a trunk and read, "Dearest Eleanor, if this reaches you, know that the stars here are sharper than any I've seen back home. They cut through the black like promises we made under the oak tree last summer. Do you remember? You laughed when I carved our initials, said it was juvenile. But I meant it, Ellie, every letter of it. The days blur into nights of waiting. The boys talk tough, but we all carry pieces of home in our pockets. Your photo for me, a lock of hair, a prayer. I dream of the river, your hand in mine, the way you hum that old jazz tune when you're happy. If I don't make it back, God, I hate writing that. But if, Ellie, promise me you'll live fierce. Find joy in the small things, the first snow, a stranger's smile. Don't let this war steal your light. You're my North Star, always." Yours, in this life and the next, Tom. Emma's throat tightened. Gran had never spoken of a Tom. There were stories of ration books and blackout curtains, of meeting Grandpa Jack at a USO dance, but this was a shard of a heart buried deep. She traced the words, imagining Gran, young, vibrant Eleanor, reading this under a dim bulb, the world crumbling around her. Downstairs, the house creaked like it was eavesdropping. Emma pocketed the letter and rummaged further. In the box's bottom, a silver locket on a chain, engraved with T and E forever. Inside, 2 tiny photos. Tom, all sharp jaw and hopeful eyes in his uniform, Gran, smiling as if the future held only dances and dreams. That night, alone in Gran's feather bed, Emma couldn't sleep. The letter burned in her mind. Who was Thomas Hale? Had he come home? She grabbed her laptop, the glow casting shadows like accusing fingers. A quick search. Thomas Hale, World War II veteran, Pacific Theater. Obituaries popped up. Dozens, but one matched. Thomas Robert Hale, beloved father and grandfather, passed peacefully at 92, March 15, 2015. Survived by daughter Margaret Hale Wright and grandchildren in Seattle. Seattle, a ferry ride and a flight away. Emma's heart raced. It was absurd, flying across the country to deliver a letter to strangers. But Gran's eyes in that photo, fierce and unbroken, urged her on. Live fierce, Tom had written. What had Gran done instead? Married Jack,
raised a family, baked pies for church suppers. Safe choices. Emma's own life felt like that, safe but stale. By morning, she'd booked a ticket. Her boyfriend Alex laughed when she told him, "Babe, it's a relic, let it go." But she hung up mid-sentence, the letter her compass. Seattle greeted her with rain-slick streets and coffee that tasted like resolution. Margaret Hale Wright lived in a tidy bungalow overlooking Puget Sound, the kind of place where fairies cut white wakes like sighs. Margaret, a retired librarian with silver streaks in her bun, answered the door with polite suspicion. "Miss Wright? I'm Emma Sinclair, Eleanor's granddaughter." She held out the letter like an offering. "This was in my grandmother's things. It's for your father." Margaret's eyes widened, then softened. She ushered Emma inside, to a living room lined with books and framed photos. One caught Emma's breath. Tom, older now, arm around a young Margaret at her graduation. "Dad spoke of Eleanor sometimes," Margaret said, unfolding the letter with reverent hands. "Whispers, mostly. A girl back home who broke his heart. He enlisted after she sent a Dear John, said it lit a fire in him. He survived Guadalcanal, came home a hero with a Purple Heart, but he never forgot her." Emma swallowed. "Gran never mentioned him. She married my grandfather a year later." Margaret nodded, tears glistening. "Dad carried that locket till the end, said it was his good love charm. After the war, he tried writing her once, but the letter came back unopened. He built a life here, me, my kids, but there was always a quiet ache." She read Tom's words aloud, her voice steady until it cracked on North Star. Then, from a drawer, she pulled a faded snapshot. Tom and Eleanor, young and laughing by a river, arms entwined. "This was tucked in his wallet," Margaret said. "He'd look at it on bad days." Emma's chest ached with borrowed grief. Why hide it, all these years? Margaret smiled sadly. Love like that doesn't fade, it just gets locked away. Maybe she was scared, or maybe life pulled her another way. They sat by the window as dusk fell, the sound turning indigo. Margaret brewed tea, and stories spilled out. Tom's war tales, Gran's imagined joys. Emma shared snippets of her own life, the job she loathed, the relationship fraying like old lace. "Go home," Margaret said finally, pressing the locket in Emma's palm. Deliver her message back. Tell her, for him, that he lived fierce too, and loved her every day after. The flight home blurred into clouds, and Gran's attic. Emma strung fairy lights over the chaos, turning tombs into lanterns. She wrote her own letter, not to a ghost, but to the future. "Dear me, remember the river. Hum the jazz tune. Carve your initials deep." She slipped Tom's letter in the locket into a new box labeled Eleanor and Tom, forever, not forgotten anymore. Downstairs, she called Alex, not to mend, but to end. "I need to live fierce," she said, and hung up to the sound of her own heartbeat, steady as a promise. Outside, snow flurried soft, the first of the season. Emma stepped into it, arms wide, and laughed. The past had whispered. Now she would sing.